Hi, and welcome to Scenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
You know, behind every incredible highlight reel, every championship trophy, there's a story we almost never get to see. Elite sports, they reward toughness and focus. But for so many athletes, there's a silent struggle happening just out of the spotlight. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that hidden world of athlete mental health. We hear that phrase all the time, right? Mental toughness. But what does it actually mean? Is it about never showing weakness, never feeling the pressure? Well, we're about to challenge that whole idea and look at a much more complete picture of what it really takes to perform at the highest level.
And that brings us straight to what researchers call the toughness paradox. It's this huge, massive gap between the image we all have of athletes and the reality they're living with every single day. Let's break down what that really looks like.
So on one hand, you've got the public image, invincible, with that unshakable confidence. But the private reality, that's often filled with intense pressure, a real fear of asking for help, and having your entire identity tied to your latest result. That's the core conflict. When everyone expects you to be superhuman, it becomes incredibly difficult to admit you're, human. And that constant pressure, it doesn't just create vulnerability, it can literally tank the very performance athletes are trying so hard to protect.
So why do so many athletes just stay silent? Well, the stakes are unbelievably high. This isn't just about feeling a little embarrassed. It's a serious career calculation. They're asking themselves, if I speak up, will I lose my spot on the team? Will my sponsors drop me? Is my coach going to see me as weak? These are really powerful reasons that keep that silence locked in place.
And look, this isn't just based on a few stories or anecdotes. We're talking about a widespread crisis that's happening right out in the open. So let's shift to the data and see just how big this struggle really is. Get ready for this number. More than 50%. Over half of varsity college athletes report having significant symptoms of anxiety or depression. That's just a staggering figure, and it really shows you the sheer scale of the problem in just one corner of the athletic world.
And this slide, this really paints the picture. That first bar shows you the rate of help seeking in the general population. The middle bar shows that the need among athletes is just as high, maybe even higher. But then, look at that third bar. The rate at which athletes actually go get that help is way, way lower. That, right there, is the help-seeking gap in action. It's also so important to understand that this burden isn't felt equally by everyone. The data consistently shows us that certain groups, like women athletes, athletes of color, and LGBTQ+ competitors, are reporting even higher levels of mental health symptoms. This means any solution that's actually going to work has to be built with equity right at its core. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, but what's the solution? This is where we shift gears and look at the new game plan. A really clear, actionable playbook for teams and organizations that want to make a real difference.
A core idea here is what's called the stepped care model. The easiest way to think about it is like a ladder of support. You start on the first rung with really accessible stuff, like maybe a mental health workshop or some peer coaching. You only step up to the more intensive services like one-on-one therapy when it's really needed. It's a super smart and efficient way to get the right care to the right person at the right time. Okay, so how does a team actually get started? You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. This lays out 4 practical first steps. First, figure out what you actually need. Then, put one person in charge as a point of contact. Try out screening with just one team to see how it works. And start to change the culture with sessions led by peers. It's all about building that momentum one step at a time. And that leads us to this quote, which honestly just hits the nail on the head. You can have all the services in the world, but if the culture doesn't change, nothing will. Stigma is the biggest barrier, period. So the bottom line is, changing attitudes is just as important, if not more important, than just providing resources. So how do you know if you're actually making a difference? You measure it. This table shows you exactly how. If you're doing screening, you track what percentage of the roster got screened. For access to care, you track how many days it takes to get an appointment. For those anti-stigma campaigns, you track whether help-seeking rates are actually going up. It's simple. If you don't measure it, you can't improve it. All of this, it's really pointing to a much bigger idea. one that goes beyond just fixing a problem and moves toward completely redefining what high performance even means. Let's take a look at what that future could be. This is it. This is the single most important takeaway. Supporting an athlete's mental health isn't separate from their training, it is performance training. It is just as vital as strength and conditioning, nutrition, or film study. And when we reframe it that way, mental wellness stops being a weakness you have to hide and starts being a strength you can build. So we'll end with a big question for you to think about. As athletes keep pushing the absolute limits of what is physically possible, could it be that the next great frontier, that next giant leap forward in sports, won't be found in a gym or on a track, but inside the mind?
Thank you for watching Scenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit scenario.com. See you in the next one.